Hello and welcome to the week ahead from the Financial Times in London. Here are some of the big stories coming up this week. Following the Republican convention in Cleveland, it's the turn of Hillary Clinton and the Democrats. Half-year results from UK chip designer ARM only weeks after the planned takeover by Japan's SoftBank, and expectations of more monetary easing by the Bank of Japan as it attempts to revive the economy. First, following the controversial and at times chaotic Republican convention, the Democrats are next in Philadelphia. It will be the party's chance to officially nominate Hillary Clinton, the former Secretary of State, as its presidential candidate. While many of the Republican Party's big names shunned their own convention in Cleveland, expect Mrs. Clinton to pull out all the stops, with appearances from US President Barack Obama, the First Lady Michelle Obama, and her defeated rival Bernie Sanders. The Vermont senator endorsed Mrs. Clinton earlier on in the month, clearing away her last major obstacle before the convention and election in November.
Secretary Clinton has won the Democratic nominating process. I intend to do everything I can to make certain she will be the next president of the United States.
It is such a great privilege to be here with Senator Sanders. Being here with him in New Hampshire, I can't help but reflect how much more enjoyable this election is going to be now that we are on the same side.
Mrs. Clinton's husband and former President Bill Clinton is also expected to take to the stage, as well as the Mothers of the Movement, an organisation of black women whose children have been killed by gun violence in the US. Next to ARM, the UK smartphone chip designer, which will be publishing second quarter results this week. This follows its planned takeover by the Japanese telecoms and internet group SoftBank. The deal, worth £24.3 billion, will be the largest acquisition of a European technology company. But come results day, ARM will be very much focused on business as usual, as Richard Waters, our West Coast editor, explains.
They will be trying to project a sense that they are making steady progress towards long-term goals. ARM has actually done a pretty good job of convincing investors that it does have a long-term story, but it's a more modest one. It's facing a slowdown in smartphones. Its own projection is maybe a 6% annual growth in smartphone devices till the end of the decade, but it's trying to get a 15% royalty rate growth. Essentially, they're doing that by putting more of their content into each chip design. And I think that's very much what we're looking for here, more steady progress towards these goals. But it will be the last time we hear from ARM on this issue.
Currently, ARM's designs are mainly used in smartphones, with 15 billion chips being shipped and installed in devices. However, half of its revenues comes from areas outside of the mobile market, in particular automotive and industrial machinery. And SoftBank will be hoping that its acquisition will help it become a leader in the Internet of Things. And finally, the Bank of Japan meets at the end of the week, with markets anticipating more easing from the central bank as it comes under pressure to combat deflation and kickstart the Japanese economy. So this will be a big meeting for the bank and its central governor Haruhiko Kuroda, as FT's Tokyo bureau chief Robin Harding explains.
They're under huge pressure to ease monetary policy further, given the surge in the yen since the start of the year. Market expectations are high. However, there's no real consensus about what they can or should do. The most likely option is to increase purchases of equity funds. They could also increase purchases of Japanese government bonds or cut interest rates further from minus 0.1%, although that is controversial. The one thing I'm reasonably confident they will not be doing this week is helicopter money, despite that starting to get some attention in both the local policy debate and internationally.
The use in Japan of helicopter money, a form of stimulus that aims to increase expenditure by putting money directly into the hands of households, has been talked about after former US Federal Reserve Chairman Ben Bernanke made a visit to the Bank of Japan earlier this month. And that's what the week ahead looks like from the Financial Times in London. See you again next time.